I am super excited because we are going to be talking about something that I absolutely love, thoughts or feelings. And it's coming from the book by Joseph Newton. Uh, don't believe everything you think. Don't believe everything you think. So as soon as I saw the book, I was like, oh my gosh, let me look at this because this sounds very interesting. And let me tell you the premise. The premise is that a thought and thinking are two very different things. Two very different things. And so it's very important to know that so that you can start to distinguish what that is. So I'm going to actually read to you the definition of a thought and thinking from Don't Believe Everything You Think. Um, it says thoughts are energetic, mental, raw materials our minds use to understand and navigate the world. Thoughts are neutral observations, insights, or intuitive prompts that pop into your mind. A thought takes little to no effort to produce, and it's something that just happens. The flip side of that is that we also cannot always control what thoughts enter our minds. So let's think about that just for a moment. When you get an intuition, a random, what you might think is a random thought, you get a download, you get, sometimes people refer to these as downloads from God. When you get that, it's very important that you recognize it and then that you realize that there's a gift in it for you. So let me give you an example. So I have a client, he had a really important event that is happening today. And about 40 minutes ago, his name popped into my mind. And immediately I texted and said, hey, I hope you're going to have a great day. It's going to be fabulous. Let me know, all the great things that happen. Now, I didn't have an alarm set to think about him. It wasn't on my calendar to do. I knew that earlier in the week when we met that I wanted to send a quick note or text. And it just so happens that I got the download at just the right time to send the text. That is a thought. A thought is how, sometimes you might be thinking about somebody and you call them and they say, I was just thinking about you. That's a thought. Thoughts really create a space for you to um, get a download, remember something. Maybe you get a creative idea. It could be that if you have been praying about something, you get the answer. That is a thought. So remember that thoughts are, so this is how I define a thought. This is not necessarily how Joseph defines it, but I kind of define a thought as positive, intuitive. It's really some information, guidance. Those are some things that I think about when I think about um, a thought. Now, let's read his definition of thinking. Thinking, on the other hand, is the judgment or opinion we have about our thoughts. Thinking takes a significant amount of energy, effort, and willpower, which are finite resources. You don't have to ruminate on each thought that enters your mind, but when you do, that is called thinking. Can you tell the difference? Thinking, so let's say you are driving and you see a black Bentley and you're like, "Oh, that's a nice black Bentley." Or there's a Bentley. The thinking comes in when you are maybe this is the thinking. I wonder how they had enough money to get that. They're probably a drug dealer. I don't see. Can you tell the difference? The thinking is where you start ruminating, where you are maybe judging, criticizing the thought that you had. So let's go back to school. A thought would be a noun, a person, place, or thing. Thinking would be the verb, the heat behind the thought, the the criticism behind the thought. So think about that as you continue to go throughout your day, because there is a difference. This is really important because this is going to allow you to come off of autopilot as it relates to thinking, because you have to know that there is a difference between a thought and thinking. So that's my tidbit for today. Um, share, subscribe, hit the bell, so that you know when I am going live or when I have uploaded a video. Have a good day.